going to take the North and never give it back.
So that's a good pick. You get the corner.
Man, I'm confident in our offense, that's for sure.
Yeah, she's got some nice long.
Welcome back to the Unbearable Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Brad Barron. Make sure to like and subscribe out there on YouTube and rate 5 stars everywhere that you get your podcasts. And happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. And I just got back from the pool, hence the crazy hair right now. But it's been a fun Father's Day weekend. But PayPal, it's Camp Countdown. How are you feeling, my friend?
I'm feeling great. Yeah, happy Father's Day, all the fathers out there. You know, I'm still not a father, thankfully. You know, I'm still,
as far as you know,
still keeping clean. You know, but yeah, I'm excited. You know, I don't think we have too much stuff planned for Father's Day, but yeah, you know, even if you're far away, you know, give them a call, do something nice. You know, probably appreciate it. But I think we're having some food, maybe barbecue in our backyard. You know.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously you're invited, Brad, you know. But yeah, so it's gonna be fun little Father's Day. It's the weather's really nice too. So hopefully we're not going back to like 45-degree weather.
Exactly. I don't even want to like think about that. It's when it gets too cold, not for me for sure. But I also, so yeah, we are recording this on Saturday. We're pushing this out on Sunday. So yeah, so no live show right now. But today we got to break down the linebackers. So we got to break down also all the different position groups as we continue to head over to training camp. Training camp, Bears just released the dates that are going to be out there. So we plan on going. We plan on getting tickets. So for everyone out there, look at the Bears social media and you can grab yours. So every week we're going to be breaking down positions until training camp. So today we are breaking down the linebackers, and linebackers have changed so much. So if we just start out thinking about the departures from the Chicago Bears at the linebacker position, no bigger departure than Roquan Smith, but some of the other departures we had, no Roquan Smith now, no Nicholas Morrow, no Matt Adams, no Joe Thomas. PayPal, what do you think about these departures? Do you think that it's going to be does it feel like a big loss, or anybody that you're missing out there?
Hey, yeah, it was definitely tough when Roquan kind of left the team. It was kind of a breath of fresh air kind of when he did leave, but it was also, you know, I think it was very split in the middle, because it was like, I remember when he left, it was like, oh, nice, like we're in full tank mode. And I remember that was kind of the mood for us last year. It was like, all right, we won like our first 2 games or something. I think we started 2-1 because we beat the 49ers, then we beat some really bad team. But it was like, all right, yeah, then we were like, okay, we're 2-1, and then we just went on this big losing streak. And then it was like, okay, yeah, just get rid of Roquan, get rid of Robert Quinn. We know we're not going to do well, just tank. But it did feel kind of like, okay, who's gonna, like, once Roquan's gone and our defense started to, or especially our front 7 was like horrendous, you know, it was like, who's gonna step up? Because Nicholas Morrow definitely wasn't stepping up as much as I thought he would have last season.
Yeah, I know that you were a big Nicholas Morrow fan, and I remember too, like going down these linebackers. It was like, remember the year before, Danny Trevathan was gone. So it was like, oh, nice. Like, Danny Trevathan didn't play. He looked super, super slow. So now we have the fast Nicholas Morrow.
Right.
And like Matt Adams, I was never a fan of, because like, I know that he was coming from the Indy scheme, but he was a special teamer. And what do you know? He was a special teamer for us. But we talked about this. So last year with the linebackers, I believe the thumbnail was Jack Sanborn, or undrafted starter. And that's what we were clamoring for. And that's why I'm wearing the Wisconsin shirt today for Jack Sanborn for being that. Also, I looked at the undrafted rookie free agents of last year. When I tweeted that out, put a star on Sanborn on April 30th. Like, this guy was going to be, like, all these people want to claim OGs with him, but it was day one for us on this show, just because we got the connection. But no, I think overall though, like you look at the depth, we had so many undrafted rookies that we tried out. We had Sterling Weatherford, and then I like Joe Thomas. He was a good, solid piece. To me, that's
Yeah.
the only one that I'm really going to miss, obviously, besides Roquan. But
Mhm. I agree. Yeah, Joe Thomas actually started in the beginning of the season. I didn't like him last year, and then he started kind of making plays. I mean,
yeah,
Nicholas Morrow, yeah, it was so sad. Just not many big plays, missed a lot of tackles. Just wasn't that like highlight reel type of guy. And I remember being excited. Yeah, like the speed at our linebacker position in the opening season. It's like, oh my
yeah.
gosh, Roquan and Nicholas Morrow. But then, yeah, that obviously fell through. But um, yeah, I'd say just probably just Joe Thomas is, yeah, kind of the only person we'll miss out of, you could say Roquan, but he had a bunch of baggage with kind of the drama, and this team is not about drama. Like, I think that's
Yeah.
kind of been instilled in all the guys here. It's like, focus just on football, don't bring all this, personal stuff into, the locker room and make it dramatic and
Yeah, as
crazy.
he's going with adult film stars out onto some boats and stuff like that he did last offseason. Totally. So let's move on to what our linebacker group looks now, right? We added a whole bunch in free agency with TJ Edwards, Tremaine Edmonds, and Jack Sanborn kind of slotted as the starters. Dylan Cole, Sterling Weatherford, and Noah Sewell kind of slotted as your second team. And then DeMarquise Gates, Micah Baskerville, and Keone Dang as the third strings, kind of rounding it out. So we kind of have this linebacker group filled out. So let's start with the biggest addition out there, Tremaine Edmonds. PayPal, what do you have to say about the biggest addition that we definitely made
The
this
biggest
offseason?
addition, which I was surprised we got him because we were kind of talking about like, would we go for like have an expensive guy in free agency? And it was kind of quiet for a bit of like we weren't getting big names, and then got Tremaine Edmonds and then TJ Edwards like right away. So I mean, we haven't watched him play yet in the Bears uniform, but his highlights, everything, like he he fits our scheme. He fits kind of just this whole Bears mentality, and he's super smart too. I think that's something that's underrated. He's probably one of the smartest players on our team, but has all the physical intangibles and that super high motor. Like he's got it all, and that's why, Brad, like, we just talked about Roquan, but like I don't miss Roquan when we got a Tremaine Edmonds. Um he's a very solid tackler and also is great in coverage with that huge wingspan. I mean, we've heard about how Justin Fields has to change his arm angles, has to, you know, change how he's playing football just because of how long his arms are. And yeah, that doesn't even take into account how smart his coverage, just everything else about him. So I love him, and I haven't even seen him play yet, Brad. But he is paid 18 million a year, so it's like kind of that high end. But I think he's worth every dollar.
Yeah, I want to say a little bit about him too, where I didn't understand like what the hardest part to digest with the Tremaine Edmonds stuff too is the Bears. I think we're all defending you don't pay a linebacker that money, and yeah, it wasn't the
Hmm.
20 that Roquan was essentially seeking, but still like around 18. But it still does. I think you hit on it. The better scheme fit, I think, is the biggest piece where people that covered the Bills were saying that Tremaine Edmonds, yes, he had one really good year. They're like, but it was him getting used to it. He was 20 years old when he came out, and now he's getting better and better and better. And you can tell now he kind of understands how to play. Had his best season last year. And I think that's where there's some optimism for sure, where it's not just a one season fluke, like the whole contract year and then bust. But
Hmm.
he's not just an insane athlete, but it helps. It helps that
Yeah.
he's this insane athlete for sure. And let's move on to the next player because the next guy that we have is TJ Edwards, right? We signed one of the linebackers, and then now we have TJ Edwards, another linebacker, someone who I know last year I comped Jack Sanborn a lot too, because when he came out of Wisconsin, he is 6'1", 242, and really wasn't the athlete that a lot of people want at the linebacker position. But last year had a career year, 159 tackles, 6.5 run stuffs. He's 26 years old, so he's also super, super young, 84.8 PFF grade. And the best thing, like we said this when he was signed, he has one of the best deals, best contracts that I've
Yeah.
seen at 3 years, 19 million. So only 6.6 million a year is just insane. And he shows that he doesn't have bad athleticism, right? He's not Tremaine Edmonds, but he's going to be that weak side linebacker, the starting weak side guy for us, and really can do it all. And I think that's something that I don't necessarily buy in fully. Like, I love analytics, I'm a huge fan of it, but I still am not fully bought into linebackers don't matter. So to me, TJ Edwards, I love the cheap deal, and I like when you have linebackers that can play everything, that can play the run, that can play the pass. TJ Edwards and Edmonds both can do that. It's not Nicholas Morrow where he's like 210 pounds, right? Super,
Yeah.
super small. We have big guys that can thump that I think can really make a difference.
And I think the big thing, the TJ Edwards, and we saw it with Sanborn last year. It like having a guy that's just really intelligent and has like amazing instincts. Like, sure, he might not be running a 4.40 or something, but like he gets there quick. Like he still has that explosive, like he's attacking the hole, like he's very decisive. And I think that's something where Nicholas Moore, he wouldn't be very aggressive when he was hitting a hole.
Yeah.
And that it's like, okay, he's fast, but he's hitting it not really powerful, and I think that's something with TJ Edwards. Like you see his power when he hits someone. You see, all that energy he's getting when he's hitting a block or anything. So TJ Edwards is another great deal. And I remember, we were kind of saying when we signed him of like, we almost like this signing better than
Yeah.
Tremaine Edmonds just because we got such a great deal with him.
And yeah, like I remember watching last year, because we'll talk about Sanborn next, where what was so huge was it's nice to have linebackers that don't get that pushback. I know so many times we're watching
Oh, yeah.
Roquan. I remember one time seeing Roquan be pushed 10 yards back. And Roquan, like, very good coverage guy and can snake through. But yeah, when he has to make the play in the run game, I still never really saw that out of him. Now, what are the D linemen going to do? I think that we're better on the interior, and that will definitely make your linebackers look better. So there will be that. And then hopefully we get some defensive ends that can help with that as well, to kind of free up these linebackers to make plays. But PayPal, let's go to our favorite. I think truly our favorite linebacker out there, Mr. Jack Sanborn. Yeah. All the Wisconsin stuff on. Jack Sanborn, what do you have to say about the Sandman?
Yeah, I mean, we kind of introduced him when we were talking about TJ Edwards. I mean, we couldn't hold ourselves in, Brad, to just even mention Jackson, where we had to. One of our favorite guys that we still have from last year, and just a crazy shock of undrafted. I remember I went to the back back like a year ago from today and looked at our depth chart of kind of when we were cutting people and stuff. And Jack Sanborn was at the bottom, with like all these random old names I forgot about, like Dawkins and all these other
TJ
guys.
Avery.
CJ Avery and like those guys.
Albright or something. Yeah, Christian Albright.
Christian Albright, like those guys. And then you see Jack Sanborn, and then he just has worked his way up, and now in the first line, starting. He doesn't have that athleticism, but I honestly don't notice it when you watch him on tape. Like great like he does not miss a tackle, even though he has short arms. He just looks so physical, great instincts. Had 64 tackles, 2 sacks, 64.5 PFF grade. I'm kind of shocked with that, Brad, because
Me too.
maybe it's just the guys that were surrounding him, but you could tell, like, if we didn't have him after Roquan left, like our defense, our linebackers just would have been terrible. Like we would have been giving up so much in the run game, but when Jack Sanborn showed up, like he really made plays, had tackle for losses, and those 2 sacks were fun. Like we learned that he could do these linebacker blitzes, even though he's not quote unquote athletic freak like Roquan. He was a great person to blitz with.
Yeah, the biggest thing was just he could really just push. He just had that pop, and that's what like was nice to see. Where anytime that they're running the football, like his blitzes, he had one of the best success. I forgot the pass rush win rate because whenever he would run and pass rush, he would just smack into someone and just completely be like disregard for his body, just freaking smack him in the face. Just a true, like it's the stereotype blue collar linebacker that you want there that just pops people. And my favorite stat that we actually posted out on our Twitter was that when Jack Sanborn started, they have this terrible run defense for the Bears had 4.19 rushing yards per carry, which was 7th best. And then when Jack Sanborn didn't start, so even when Roquan was out there, it was 4.99 yards per carry, almost 5 yards a carry when Sanborn did not start, and that was 29th. So when Sanborn was out there, he clearly did something. It's kind of sad that he's going to most likely start at the Sam linebacker because that seems to be, I mean, are you nervous about it at all? Do you think it's going to be a competition?
I don't really think so. I mean, I think he kind of has that spot locked. I mean, from how he played last season, how can you not be like he deserves a starting role? Like he outplayed everyone. Obviously, he's not gonna be playing like in a nickel package with Tremaine Edmonds and TJ Edwards just because I don't think Jack Sanborn has that coverage style yet. Like he's not gonna be running stride for stride for like a, especially with tight ends nowadays, how quick they are. Like I don't really see him doing that, but hey, maybe he will eventually. But I think it fits his role so well of like, we need an extra linebacker just so in case the team they have a heavy set package or they're going to run the ball or they have a chance of running the ball, bring in Jack Sanborn, bring in the jackhammer and stop the run. Like we got two Wisconsin linebackers at the either side of Edmonds. Like come on. They stop the run. That's what they're born to do.
What I really like about Sanborn is also just the depth, because right now he's listed, he's most likely going to be the Sam linebacker. But I do think that if any of these linebackers go down, like if Edmonds or Edwards were to go down, it's Sanborn's job. We saw him at middle linebacker, we saw him at weak side, and I think that's what's so great about him is that he also gives you that positional versatility at the linebacker spot where you do feel a little bit more comfortable if someone were to go down, or let's say, God forbid, because TJ Edwards literally only started 1 year, like truly started over 1,000 snaps for only 1 season. If anything weird happened with that, it's nice because it just feels like we have a lot of that depth that we were kind of missing last year. While last year it was like, oh, all right, let's see if there's any undrafted rookies that can do something. Or Joe Thomas at least kind of held it down. But let's go to kind of the last one that we're going to do a big profile on before we start talking about the backups. But that is Noah Sewell, the linebacker out of Oregon. So we drafted this guy at pick 148 in the 5th round. And a little bit about him, the comp, Zach Brown, very similar, where he's just a downhill thumper, could rush the passer. And what I love about this profile for those watching on YouTube, I literally just grabbed what we wrote about him during our draft coverage. So this is like a very non-biased way of talking about him, where we put his strength was blitzing, his weakness was coverage. And that's where he's a perfect Sam, like what we were talking about. I do think that he's going to be a Sam. I don't think he's going to fight. I don't think it's going to be a positional battle. I think if it is, maybe if I was the defensive coordinator, I've said this before, I would put Noah Sewell as a pass rusher sometimes, like it's situational where you don't know where he's going to be and he can rush the passer a little bit, but he does seem very downhill, very attack type of a player. in 2021 had 14 tackles and 114 tackles and 4 sacks. And that's why people thought he was going to be a first rounder this year. But the big question, like we said, could he steal the spot from Sanborn? It sounds like both of us. Do you think it would even be a competition?
I, yeah, that's the hard thing. Like he definitely is turning heads at camp. It sounds like, not like, how like Tyreek Stevenson is, but he's still, people are like, oh man, like he's turning out pretty well. Like you can see he has a great attitude when he plays. But I couldn't see Coach Eberflus bringing Noah Sewell like starting already. Like,
Yeah.
I think he still has so much to learn, and I think Jack Sanborn learned a lot last year. So I think that just solely that experience that Jack Sanborn has just of 1 year, like, puts him over the top over Noah Sewell. But maybe you never know, like maybe next year or something, because of his athleticism, might help him win that Sam spot.
I think too, he's got the perfect profile for a special teamer. Like 6'1", 246. And yeah, you don't want to be drafting special teams only, but he can definitely make a huge impact on that. And like we said, injuries do happen. And I hate talking about it, but I do like talking about it because I like this depth. I like this depth that we do have at the linebacker position. But this also brings up, would he play defensive end at all? Right? It's been discussed, it's been tossed around. I still don't buy it because I moved his like RAS score to a defensive end, and you just see how small he is compared to everyone else. I like him as kind of I think that they could get creative with him and move him around. That's what I would do, is put him in weird packages where you don't know who's going to be blitzing, because Sanborn, like we talked about, looked like a good blitz player. Why not go with a 3-down lineman and put these 2 linebackers out there and just keep them guessing where they go? They could both go in coverage. One of them could blitz. 2 of them could blitz. You just never know what they would be doing. And that's what I would do. I think that would be a really cool formation that you could have with a healthy linebacker core.
Yeah, Brad, your personnel, you always want the 11 best players on your team out there. And I mean, we haven't gone to our defensive line, preview or whatever, but it's like we've talked about how it's like Andrew Billings, Justin Jones, like, our rookie D tackles, like, Dexter and Pickens. They're like, those guys, like, I don't mind if they're out there. And DeMarcus Walker, you don't mind, but then all the other defensive ends, you're like Travis Gibson, you don't know if you really like it. So it'd be kind of fun. Yeah. Like, bring it back to the 3-4 defense and maybe, have one of those guys coming off the edge. Kind of like that.
I like it. And I know too, like it reminds me of in NCAA football back in the day when they actually had the game going on. They had all sorts of different like alignments because college football is so weird and you just had to play with your best. I remember I had all these good safeties on my bad team, and yeah, I had to like switch it up. It's like, yeah, why not do something like that just kind of confuses them? But would they? It's, we hear that this defense is all about the basics, right? It's a simple defense with that. So I think it's a fun thing to talk about, but I really don't think it's going to happen. But let's talk a little bit more about some of the backups now. So those are kind of the key names that we had listed. Now, some of the backups that we do have, Dylan Cole, Sterling Weatherford, DeMarquise Gates, Micah Baskerville, and Kwani Dang. Anybody stand out to you, PayPal? Anybody that you feel like we should talk about? Because it did seem like Dylan Cole was this kind of second string Sam linebacker, but now it seems like Sewell is taking that over from him. Anyone you want to talk about?
Yeah, I think I gotta talk about the guy with the healthiest gums in the entire NFL, DeMarquise Gates. I mean, he's always flossing his teeth. Yeah, he still has the little like those like picks, those flossing picks when he plays. He still has one. Yeah, whenever he's playing, he still has one. Yeah, I don't know if you ever seen. I thought it was just something that he did in he's in I think he was in the XFL.
Yeah, yep.
One of those more minor league, whatever you want to say. But yeah, he would play with a floss pick in his teeth, just like chewing on it basically. So he still does that, and I mean, I don't know how that's definitely not safe, like as you're crushing into people, but it works for him apparently. And I liked him last year. I mean, we talk about Jack Sanborn and Demarcus Gates last year with their kind of that preseason, like that amazing show that they kind of brought to us. Like they just
Yeah.
looked like so good. It just makes me wonder, like we still had him on our practice squad, and maybe he did get better. Maybe he was just kind of watching and just got better behind all the cameras and stuff. So that's the guy I think we could watch. It is kind of, would we ever have 7 linebackers on this team?
Yeah.
I don't know, but Demarcus Gates is someone that definitely has that highlight potential of tackles for losses, sacks, interceptions. It seems it's just kind of that consistency.
Yeah, I think you bring up a good point just with like making the team, right? And I think making the team, I think some people are going to see Sanborn and Sewell as a position battle. I see Demarcus Gates and Dylan Cole as a battle potentially, because
Yeah.
Dylan Cole, he's been a good special teamer, but he's 29 years old, right? Do you want him out there as a player? And he played some of the Sam for the Titans, but if Gates can show that he can do so much more, now Gates is no spring chicken. He's 27 years old, but we saw some of that Sanborn and Gates connection. I think it's going to be Gates trying to push. And
Mm-hmm.
you have Baskerville and also Dang, and Dang is 6'6", so he's an absolute giant. But I do think though that I think ultimately my big position battle to watch is going to be what can Gates do? Because if he has another amazing, insane preseason, I don't think he's going to be able to be on the roster for much longer, because I think someone's going to
Yeah.
pick him off from a practice squad to say, why not him? XFL was great, or XFL or USFL. They always blend together. Maybe it's even the AAF, right? But one of those semi-pro leagues, he was a beast. He was a beast in preseason. So, but yeah, I do really like what we have with the backups. I am interested though, when it comes to preseason and it comes to the camp, is Weatherford even a linebacker, right? Or is he just going to be a special teamer? Because when everyone was going down, we really didn't see Sterling Weatherford play for the Bears.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something definitely for us to look out for. But PayPal, let's go to overs and unders. So last year I was flying solo with this, so it was myself just kind of asking overs and unders. Let's start this off first. Do you want to go first or do you want to go second?
I'll go first, Brad.
You'll go first. So the overs and unders, and for those watching on YouTube, you can post down in the comments what you think. So first over and under, we had 3 interceptions from our linebacker unit last year. Do you think it's going to be over, under, or push?
Man, I mean, I think of last year, we should have had more, because didn't Jack Sanborn he had an interception. He had what is that Lions game? I'm glad we had the Lions picture of him. I think he had like 2, but then one got called back. Or he had like another turnover or fumble or something. But
Oh yeah, it was Dolphins, I think.
yeah, or
Like his
something.
Dolphins
Yeah.
game was insane. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the refs just absolutely just
Yeah.
were not on our side during the Dolphins game. But anyways, I think this is over. I mean, 3 is not terrible. But you talk about with Tremaine Edmonds, I just think with that reach, like, how can we not get more batted balls at least? I don't know if that's specifically going to go to the linebackers as a interception stat, but just having him there to create interceptions and get batted balls with that, his 6'5" frame, and then whatever, probably 6'5" wingspan. That's going to help a lot. And then we added with TJ Edwards. He's an amazing coverage linebacker. And even Jack Sanborn, I know I was kind of saying he's not known for his coverage, but he's still
He looked good.
yeah, he still looked
Yeah.
good. Like he's just not going to be running stride for stride man to man with someone, which
put-
I don't think we're
yeah.
ever going to ask him to do that.
He put himself in the right spot. I think that's something that
Exactly.
was like that was the best thing about Sanborn, though. I thought was just it seemed like how he played football was the way you're supposed to play football. Like he was in the right spot. He filled his lanes. He did what he needed to. And I think that's where having the entire team kind of bought in, I think that's going to be powerful. Like what Justin Jones was talking about in his interview, where there's just people that wanted to get the next deal, right? That's what they were wanting. And now you actually have people that are here long term. So the linebackers, especially, but let's go to the next one. I just realized I have the harder, I feel like mine are the difficult over unders, the ones that I didn't want. Over under 1,500 plus tacklers at the linebacker position because we had two. I mean, last year we didn't have anybody over 100 tackles, I believe, but both of the linebackers that we added in Edmonds and Edwards had over 100 tackles. Dude, I'm going under. I feel like I'm being safe with this because there's things that can happen with injuries. I think that ultimately one is going to get over 100 tackles because maybe one doesn't play a full season. Also, Sanborn gets all the tackles in base defense, so that's going to happen. But I do believe though, because of how the linebackers are, I also hope that only one linebacker gets 100 tackles because I'm hoping that the D tackles can come up big and Javon Dexter can make some of those. So I am going to go under. But
Yeah,
PayPal,
I was thinking the same thing, Fred. Yeah, it's a lot of 200 tackle, like 200. Yeah, two guys with 100 plus tackles is a
it's a
lot of
lot.
tackles. A lot of tackles from two people on your team.
And I think about what Tremaine Edmonds had with Milano, right? Two similar situation, very good linebackers, and Edmonds just got over 100 tackles. So that's where I think ultimately one misses out. But let's go to total linebacker sacks. Last year, we actually had exactly 5.5 sacks. So the over-under set at 5.5 total linebacker sacks. So inside linebackers only.
Yeah, this one's
PayPal, what
tough,
are you
Fred.
thinking?
Honestly,
This is tough.
I'm going under. I'm going under. I mean, like
Okay.
that was like I feel like that was probably half of our team sacks was from our linebackers. And
Sadly, yes. I going
yeah,
through it, I was like, oh, linebackers.
and I guess this time I think it's going to be around the same. That's why I actually think this is a good over and under because we're
Yeah.
still going to be using those linebacker blitzes, and I think they're going to kind of be as successful as they were last year. They worked so well. But where I say under is yeah, I don't think we're going to be using them as much because I remember Eberflus when he came in, he sounded like he never really wanted to have to blitz. He just wants like he's a very basic defense guy. He just wants the four guys at the front to blitz. But
Yeah.
we had no pressure otherwise if we did not blitz. So we had to. It was kind of one of those things we had to do. So I'm going to say we're going to be blitzing less from the linebackers spot, and that's why we'll get less sacks.
Okay.
But that's not really a negative. I think of that as more of a positive for this team.
Yeah. That one was also hard. Yeah, because then you also throw in Noah Sewell. Is he going to be a defensive or are they going to play him at defensive end? I don't think so. But yeah, that could, if they do, that's a cheat code to get to more than 5.5 sacks. So the next one, Pro Bowlers, the line set at 0.5. So are we going to get a Pro Bowl linebacker? This to me is really hard because I'm looking at the Pro Bowl roster and the Pro Bowl sucks for inside linebackers because they only let two people in at the inside linebacker position. And that's where fix the Pro Bowl, like make it so that they can actually go in because they have defensive ends. They have 4 defensive ends and 4 outside linebackers, and every outside linebacker is a pass rusher. So they allow 8 pass rushers and only 2 inside linebackers. So that's where I think the person that could be a Pro Bowler is Tremaine Edmonds. I think that's him Fred Warner, I feel, is going to be a Pro Bowler, just because the name recognition, right? And I think he could beat because Demario Davis from the Saints got in last time. I think if the Bears are good, Tremaine Edmonds could be a Pro Bowler because us with our linebackers will be like, dude, he's got to go in. And we're going to
Yeah.
vote him like crazy. I just, I'm going to go under though. I think it's going to be because just the way that voting is like, you need more
Yeah.
than 2. If they change it, I'm going to go over. If they actually put in 4, easy over, or even like 3, I'll go over, but I just ultimately think he's going to get screwed because of the way that the Pro Bowl voting goes.
Yeah. I think I this is where we always it's nice disagreeing, but yeah, I gotta say he's gonna make it. I mean,
Okay,
I
let's
could
go.
totally see him getting a lot more recognition, like from what I was saying before, of like interceptions, like those highlight plays is when you get that recognition. I mean,
Ooh,
Fred
that's a good
Warner
point.
is a great coverage linebacker, and that's where he'd get his kind of his hype. Same with Roquan. Roquan, sure, like he's not, he's not gonna be filling in the gaps for a running game and doing that dirty work, but he's gonna like that. If there is an open hole, he's going right through it. He's getting tackled for losses, sacks, getting all those highlight plays. I think Tremaine Edmonds kind of has that same uh, what do you want to say? Like physicality, speed, athleticism that allows him to kind of create all those highlights.
That's a good point. And to me,
But
yeah,
yeah,
we'll see. It's like I said, Pro Bowl, fix your voting system. There's so many things wrong with the Pro Bowl. Let's be real here.
yeah,
And the voting, be modern, call it edge, call it linebackers, because everybody plays a nickel anyways. So fix your voting. And then, so Tremaine Edmonds can definitely get in. But we know how Chicago fans are with voting. Like when we were good in 2018 for like good teams that's just like a normal season, like every Bear got in, which
Mhm.
we made sure that we came out in droves and voted. So if
Hey,
we're
and Mitch
good,
Trubisky still got the MVP.
yeah.
That was the best thing that ever happened that season was Mitch Trubisky. I don't think they even like put him on camera because they knew it was like a joke.
Yeah.
And
Like, oh man, but Nate Burleson handled it like a champ. So let's go to our last segment in these camp countdowns. Did we get better? So we broke it all down for you, just the different people that are out there on the roster. Like we said, Morrow gone, Roquan gone, Matt Adams gone, Joe Thomas gone, and essentially it completely revamped linebacker room with Edwards, Edmonds, Sanborn now starting, Dylan Cole, Weatherford, Sewell. Hey Val, I think that this is easy to say
yeah.
better or worse. It's to me, this is significantly better.
Oh, it's so easy. I mean, I think if the number one linebacker, Roquan versus Tremaine Edmonds, I think Edmonds wins that all day. Like for reasons I said before. I'm not gonna say them again. And then we look at more kind of the depth pieces, TJ Edwards, Jack Sanborn, Dylan Cole. I mean, Noah Sewell, like he's looking great. Like you were saying before, like if one of these guys get injured, I'm not like, oh my gosh, it's the end of the world. With last year, it was like if any of those guys go down, like if Roquan went down, you know, I and too, there's a point too of like also like if Nicholas Morrow went down, you're also like, is Joe Thomas is as crappy as Nicholas Morrow? You know what I mean? Like you're not like happy if either one of them's in. So it's just so much better. Like Nicholas Moore would not start on the linebacking crew this year, and Matthew Adams would definitely not even make the team. I think that just shows how much we've added at this position.
I agree with you. Where like Edmonds, I think that's a toss up. I do believe, right? I think that to me, I think that Roquan is more consistent, right?
Mm.
Roquan's been good every single season. Edmonds has that potential. Seems like he's getting into it. Yeah, Edwards better than Morrow. Sanborn better than, I would say, Dylan Cole better than Matt Adams because he actually started at a point in his career. And Sanborn clearly, like, when you bring back Weatherford and Sanborn, and then you add in Noah Sewell as a rookie to kind of come in. Now, is he better than Joe Thomas? Time will tell. But I just really like this core group of linebackers. That's why we also wanted to go through this first, because it seemed like this linebacker group, they're not going to make any changes recently. If they do, it's going to be a backup. It's going to be people that they're adding in. Now, I think overall, this is the core of the defense, right? Right in the middle. So that's where we're going to be kind of breaking down every single position group. We'll break down the defensive linemen. I don't know which one we're going to go next. So you're going to want to make sure to stay tuned, like, subscribe, PayPal, anything else that you want to add as you sneeze to
Oh, man.
end this out.
Hey, some of those sneezes, I don't know if you ever get those where you like I don't really have allergies or anything, but you sneeze and it just feels so good. Yeah, I don't know
Heck
what
yeah.
it is. You just feel like awake after.
Feel like
But
you can.
yeah, I'm excited. Like, honestly, yeah, stay tuned, because I honestly looking at uh kind of the team we had before and then what we have now just makes me like so much more optimistic about the Bears and like how they're going to be like offense and defensive wise. Like you're just a lot more confident in the depth and all the pieces that we've added. It's a good feeling when you see, like what the state of our team was last year. And then you're like, oh my gosh, it feels so much better being here.
Exactly. This is the big position that we invested on. So no question that we got better on paper, right? We still have to play the game, but make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, make sure to rate 5 stars everywhere that you get your podcast. And with that, Unbearable Sports Podcast, we are out.
Yeah, she's got some nice long